starting today.
Yeah.
One group is experiencing outages from 14 to 22,
Yeah.
and another group is experiencing outages from 6 to 14 hours. Those particular outages are necessary, right? I don't know how we can categorize them. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
And there are people out there who feel that we shouldn't be shutting down even when we have scheduled maintenance works. Lusaka City has been growing, and the infrastructure needs an upgrade. And there's been investment in upgrading the infrastructure within the city of Lusaka. This is funded by the World Bank and the European Investment Bank. So there is the substation at Leopards Hill, another substation at Roma. There is also the substation at Coventry, and the substation at Waterworks. Most of you have seen these substations, the new ones that have been constructed. Additionally, there's been the stringing of new transmission lines, interlinking the city of Lusaka. Now, our engineers are working on the last mile to be able to upgrade, the substation and connect the new substation to the new infrastructure. And the contractor can't work if the substation is active. So you have to switch off that substation. You can't do works on a substation when the system is live. So this means that we have to inconvenience our customers by switching them off in order to transition the equipment and link to the new substation. That work needs to be done. I have apologized on behalf of the company that we have to do this work. We can't postpone the work, and then there is no other way in this particular case, like the Roma substation that is being worked on now. As we speak, engineers are working, trying to reconfigure and reconnect the new substation. These are new works that are meant to improve power supply to the areas that are listed, Kwamwena, Roma, Ngombe, Liranda, Kalundu in Roma area. All these places need stable and consistent power supply. But the old infrastructure is not helping. That's why our partners, the World Bank and the European Investment Bank, came in to support these efforts to upgrade the infrastructure in order to ensure that there is reliable power supply. And we are hoping that once these works are complete, supply in those areas will be stable. So, Innocent, when you ask whether it is necessary to switch off people or whether it's not necessary, that question is answered by the fact that it's necessary that these works must be done, because in the long term, the beneficiary is the customer, because you create stability in the system. It's the same with our friends in Chalala and the same with Coventry. The works there need an upgrade. The option that we have is to simply leave it as it is and let the infrastructure collapse completely. But that would be irresponsible. So what we are doing, I think, is the right thing. It is inconveniencing to our customers. I must admit, it is inconveniencing. But you can't work on a live system with electricity. You have to switch off. And that's the reason some people are off from 6 to 14, others from 14 to 22 hours. I just received a call from Lusaka West in Vilanda. Somebody was complaining, and he was upset. And all I told him is, sir, I understand, but we issued an announcement some time back telling people that we are going to work on the substation at Roma, and in doing so, we are going to switch off people, in two groups, some in the morning and others in the afternoon. There are other faults that have been experienced in the last 15 days, and I agree with the frustrations of our customers. The storm that we had on that particular day that destroyed people's homes, blowing off rooftops of people, And some of the iron sheets were landing on our network, creating short circuits that took off some of our transformers. And some of our substations got burnt in the process. People would say, but ZESCO, you should know that there will be rain, there will be storms. Yes, you create infrastructure that is resilient. But some of the experiences of adverse weather conditions can affect your infrastructure negatively. Look at billboards that were uprooted, rooftops that were blown off, trees that were uprooted, some of which, like for example in Rivala South, that landed on our infrastructure. The people who lost houses in Kabwe, you know, no one plans for disasters of that nature. Acts of God or acts of nature are likely to occur. That left a series of destruction on our network and our infrastructure. So I can understand the frustration because we took longer to restore some places. There are other people who only came back on after 6 days, like off Simon Mwansaka Pwepwe. And there was a case on the Copper Belt in Kitwe where we also took longer. But as I'm speaking to you, most of the people, yes, did get power. But there are people today, as we speak, in Ibex Hill, Salama Park, places in the Manzi Valley area, off Simon Mwansaka Pwepwe Road and Acacia, who are experiencing an outage from last night because of a cable fault on multiple points. And these cables were punctured during the expansion of the roads in the area. And we jointed those cables, but they had points of weaknesses. And those are the ones that our engineers are replacing. So without talking, too much, the question I would ask is, when you are working on a live system, how else can you do it without switching people off? And immediately you switch off people, there is this anxiety, there is this frustration. Yeah, we shouldn't be keeping people off. When people are off, ZESCO is not making money. Just like when people do not have power, they lose some of, the productive economic activities in their sphere of experience. So we do not denigrate. We are not in any way demeaning the experiences of our people. There are certain things that we can do better, but there are certain things where we need to broker this understanding with our people, especially in the city of Lusaka, because in other areas, apart from the time when we had announced the 3 hours in the evening, power has been very stable. But Lusaka is undergoing an overhaul, a big project, 246 million being funded by our partners to upgrade the infrastructure. More often than not, there will be scheduled maintenance. Yes.
I understand you, Doc, and
yes.
I follow your conversation. I follow your submission with keen interest.
Yes, sir.
But again, remember, there are people that are watching you out there.
Yes.
That are thinking that, I think ZESCO, you've developed this system or this tendency of coming up with the excuses, all the excuses that you'd want to use each time there's a problem. I do not refuse in terms of development, because development doesn't end.
So give me one problem that you see.
The problem that I've seen here...
give me one specific problem, like for example,
Yeah.
we are switching off people from 14 hours to 22 hours. The reason I have given, which we announced, right, 5 days ago, is that the Roma substation is being worked on as we speak. This is information that can be verified. Someone can simply drive to Roma substation now. They'll find our engineers working there. You can drive to the substation at Ibex Hill. There are people working there even in the night. There are certain things that you can lie about. But things like work on a substation that is turned off, it can be verified. You are media. You are investigative journalists. All you need to do is to send somebody there. Even now, as we are speaking, you can pick up the phone, send somebody to go to Roma substation and verify. That's not a lame excuse. It's not a lame excuse.
Do you realize, Doc, that in the last 7 years plus, people have been hearing the same story, that ZESCO is doing the upgrades of,
Which
a
areas?
replacement of old machines or substations to the new ones and the likes. And Lusaka, of course, has been a victim for over the years.
It's 5 years. The project in Lusaka has been going on for 5 years. So we must be specific, Innocent. And I agree. Let's have a conversation where we are specific.
Yeah.
I'll give you specific examples. You also give me specific cases. I'll tell you where our problems are, and I'll be very specific so that anybody out there can verify the information. Right? Because these are not spiritual matters. These are not ideological conversations. We're talking about tangible things, not ethereal matters. Tangible reality. If I tell you that at Kafue Gorge Upper, generator unit number 3 developed a fault on a bearing and it was overheating, that is information that can be verified because it's tangible. It's not like we are discussing a ghost or something that only one person is able to see. This is engineering. There is a turbine, which is called generator number 3. It was overheating. It was going beyond 76 degrees Celsius. Our engineers took it out. Mamba Collieries is not ZESCO. They supply power to ZESCO. They have 2 generating units. Each one gives us about 134, and the other one gives us about 134. One of their machines has been on annual maintenance. They took it out. That's not a story. Mamba Collieries is in Mamba. People can verify that information. They are not ZESCO. So it is not in their interest to tell a lie. So let's be very specific and deal with specific cases. I'm giving you examples of what has happened and where the problem is. And then we can pick up that conversation.
Right. In picking up that conversation...
Yes, my brother.
Let's say, for how long are you likely to undertake this project?
So, the upgrades in Lusaka.
Yes, the upgrades in Lusaka.
The upgrades in Lusaka have been going on for 5 years. This is the 5th year, right? So it's called the Lusaka Transmission, Distribution, and Rehabilitation Project.
Yeah.
That's a fact. 246 million US dollars. Who is funding this project? It's the World Bank and the European Investment Bank.
Sure.
These institutions don't partner with you if they think you're not serious. It's the World Bank and the European Investment Bank. Yeah. They're working with us to upgrade the infrastructure. If you drive today, you know where Master Pork is? On Leopard Hill Road. You turn to your left if you're going towards the east, you'll find a brand new substation, probably one of the biggest in the region, being upgraded with this funding and with this support. That's a fact. Why are we upgrading that particular substation? It's because we are also working on Kafue Gorge Lower, where 2 units, we promised 2 units. 2 units are already running. The 3rd unit should be running this month or early December. Once we have increased that capacity, we have constructed a new line from Kafue Gorge Lower through the multi-economic zone, South Economic Zone, that is coming through to Ibex Hill. It's bringing power. There is another line that we are constructing from Kafue Gorge Lower through Kafue, Shimabala, into Lusaka West. This infrastructure is visible. It's funded. Once we upgrade that to accommodate the new capacity that is increasing, we have to upgrade also the transmission and distribution lines. So this project is there. The major problems that we've been facing, and I'm being very sincere, right? The major problems we've been facing is usually operations and maintenance. Some of the infrastructure, which is old, should have been removed a long time ago. Some of the cables should have been removed a long time ago. If you go on Tokyo Way in Osaka, we are upgrading that infrastructure. Innocent, Lusiwasi, 15 megawatts, was just completed, right? This year.
Sure.
It's complete.
Yeah.
But there's also a line that has been constructed from Lusiwasi, which is called the Pensulo-Musolo line. Pensulo-Kasama line. These lines are taking power to Eastern Province and to Kasama. Those are facts, and those can be verified. These works are ongoing. So operations and maintenance need to be done continuously to avoid problems where your systems collapse and fail willy-nilly.
Yeah. Zambians will support you in terms of you carrying out this development.
Yes.
It's a progressive work that
Yes.
every Zambian will support you. But people want to hear, when are you likely to complete this work and call the issue of load shedding as a thing of the past?
So I'll give you examples. The load shedding we announced, and let's all be sincere. When did we announce the load management? It's basically in the last, this is the third week. When we lost the 2 machines, and we came back to the public and told them we have experienced an accident. We told people, because we have an obligation to explain. We told people there's a problem on the generator unit number 4 at Kariba, and there is also a problem on generator unit number 3 at Kafue Gorge Upper. We explained this. But also we told them that our friends at Mamba Collieries, as we speak, they had their machine out. Ndola Energy gives us 108 megawatts. As we speak, Ndola Energy is not ZESCO. They give us 108 megawatts. As we speak, they're not producing anything because they don't have fuels. Mamba Collieries, 1 machine is out. And then we experienced a failure on 2 machines. And our engineers proactively took them out for repair. They repaired the other one within a week, but the other one is the one that they completed 2 days ago. As we speak today, the machines are synchronized in the system. Those who are experiencing loss of power, most of it is not countrywide. What we are experiencing are certain sections of the country, or Lusaka mainly is the culprit, where we are experiencing loss of power in a number of areas in Lusaka. And we know why. I've explained, starting today, tomorrow, and on Sunday, we have specified which areas are going to lose power. And we have given the reason why they will lose power. That loss of power is not because we are not generating enough. No. It's because we are working on a transmission system which we are improving. So exactly, Innocent, I understand the frustration. And ZESCO, yes, can do better. I agree. That argument is real.
Of which you are not doing better.
In which case? No, we are giving examples. Give me one example. Because you have power. You are telling me, Innocent, I shouldn't switch off when I'm repairing a substation.
You have to do that. But you have not been consistent in terms of providing power to the people of Zambia. If you are going to provide power to the people of Zambia, it will maybe for 3 months. From there, another excuse comes in.
Innocent,
just like the one you're talking about.
Innocent, from December. From December.
Yeah.
When did you experience load management?
That's why there's a problem again.
No. Let's be factual.
Yeah.
December is not a spiritual entity. It's very specific. There was December, there was January, February, March, April, May to date. I can tell you that yes, there have been faults in certain places, but countrywide load management has only was announced. You remember the 3 hours that we announced about 3 weeks ago? It was done, and we completed it. And on the 7th of November, that program came to an end. And we announced again to the people. So when you're telling me that there is load shedding countrywide, no, let's compare to what load shedding was last year. The load shedding we had last year, 2019, 2020.
Simplify your submission, Doc.
Yes.
Simplify your submission.
Yes.
Would you say ZESCO has achieved its agenda of ending load shedding as you promised in 2019 or as you promised in 2015? Would you say you've moved away from the load shedding?
First and foremost, let me confirm to you that we are generating enough power. So we don't have a problem in terms of water levels, drought. No, we don't have a weather-induced power deficit. No,
You've
we don't
answered
have.
a different question.
No, I'm coming. So I want to explain to
Thank you.
Because load shedding or load management is premised on deficit.
Right.
You are not producing enough. You don't have enough fuel Therefore, you have to reduce your capacity in order to preserve what you already, or the little that you have. That's what load management is premised on. Eh? You have a deficit, and because you have a deficit, you are making sure you don't want to finish the little that you have. It's like you have a bag of miri meal at home.
Yeah.
You don't want to finish that bag of miri meal quickly in that month, right? So instead of having 3 meals a day, you start having only 1 meal. You are load shedding your meals. Here, what we have, and I want to be very clear, is that we are producing enough. We are generating enough. We have enough. We have constraints on the system that is being worked on, so transmission and distribution system. 3 major events occurred in the last 3 weeks. 3 major events, Innocent, and we must be honest. First, we had the 2 machines that broke down, then we had Mamba out, and then we had Indola Energy out. Agreed? Not planned. Accidents happen. Machines fail. The second thing is we had that storm on a Wednesday of the other week. That storm is the one that caused some havoc, not only on ZESCO infrastructure, but other infrastructure as well. Right? That was another story. Then we had the blackout that happened on Saturday when I was here at Muvi TV at 7:25. Do you know what caused it? It was an external force coming from the interconnector of Zimbabwe. 600 megawatts was pushed into our network. That caused a self-protective mechanism, and it tripped 3 machines. And we declared a reset on the system, which we called a black start. By 13:30, the country was fully charged. By 14:47, the Southern African interconnected power system was fully charged. So the losses of power in the last 15 days are understandable. They are painful, but they can be explained as to what happened. That is not load shedding.
Right.
That's not load shedding. Right. And we must be sincere. Load shedding is where we say we don't have enough water, therefore we're not going to generate enough power for the country. And what it means that countrywide, people, the entire country, will not be having power from 12 hours to 21 hours. Or from 6 hours to 12 hours. Are people losing power now? Yes, there are some sections and areas where people are losing power for various reasons. Is it possible to do better? Yes. In our response, for example, to Kwamwena, there are the cases of vandalism. They removed 4 hammered cables on major supply points that affected also Lusaka water. Thieves, vandals, they stole and vandalize the equipment. Today, I was listening to Radio Phoenix, where a man called in from the Copper Belt and said that somebody went in and stole their cables, the ones that supply power from the main line into their properties. And he said that they are doing it during the day. Mutendere East, 24 cables were lost in one night by vandals. That is likely to occur in Chalala. And parts, there was also some cases reported in Choma, where people went in and stole these cables and removed them. And all they were doing is that they would get a metal bar, throw it on the network to trip the system. Once they trip the system, then they cut off the cables and they disappear. We arrested 3 men, a father and 2 sons, in Lusaka West, with bags and bags of our cables stolen, which had led to outages in some of those areas. So that's understandable. But also there are certain faults that are the result of weaknesses in some of our systems. Sparks that were caused on the poles. You know, you hear of sparks on the cables, especially at the beginning of the rainy season. You get a lot of sparks because during the hot weather, the friction causes the buildup of carbon on the joints, and when the water drips in on that carbon, then you get sparks. Normally you see that the system tends to stabilize after a few rains. So I hear you. When you're talking about our capacity to invest in generating power, we are far much better than where we were before. And I can give you specific examples of how much we are generating as a country.
Talking about where we are today, Doc,
Yes.
that of course you are likely to load shed, some parts of Lusaka to start with.
If there is a problem,
Yeah.
we must qualify, Innocent.
of course.
When there is a problem to take you off supply, we will do it.
Exactly. And the problem that you have identified so far is that there are some works that
Scheduled
are going
maintenance
on right
works,
now.
yes.
Yes, you are very smart by coming up, load management, black start, all these things. I'll need a definition of the difference between all these things as we go on. But
Okay.
my question is,
A black start is simply a reset.
Right.
You are reset like you have with computer systems here.
Yeah.
If you lose the electricity and your computer system was working, you reboot it, right? When you switch on, it takes a bit of time to, it's the same. You reset the system because electricity, unlike the way it is in the house where you can switch on and switch off immediately, for the power that is generated from Kariba, from Kafue Gorge Upper, Kafue Gorge Lower, Iteshiteji, Shiwangandu, Musonda, Lunzua, 14.8 megawatts. All this power needs to be balanced in the network. And in addition, we are interconnected to the region. So we are interconnected to ZESA in Zimbabwe, ESCOM in South Africa, we are interconnected in Botswana, we are interconnected to SNEL, we are interconnected to NAM Power in the region. So what happens that when power is generated, it needs to be balanced in the system. It is dependent on supply and demand, so that you keep that balance. If there is a sudden change in the network, something goes wrong, the system can collapse. That's why there are engineers working as we are speaking today at the National Control Center, observing that the frequency is stable and maintained. Because should something happen where there is a sudden shift or change and the system collapses, we go into a complete blackout. That could be a disaster because it's a security risk also for the country. So it's not like the way electricity is in the home where you simply switch on and the lights are on and you switch off, the lights are off. When there is a blackout or a black start or a reset, our friends have to start by switching on and begin sending the loads, so turning on the bulk supply points until there is stability in the entire system. That's how it works. So when you are managing that, it's called load management because you can't store electricity. Like water. If you pump water into a reservoir, you can store it and use it at a later time. But for electricity, once you generate it, it must go and it must be used. So in order to keep that balance flowing, it is interventions by the system which is fully automated. That's why sometimes they use the word load management, because load shedding only signifies shedding off, removing and reducing. But in some cases, it may call for increasing in order to keep a balance in the network. That's why we just call it load management. Basically, what it simply means that, look, if we don't switch off people in this area and that area, if we don't switch them off now because the system is being constrained, we may enter into a collapse. And when it collapses, you have to reset it. So in order to avoid resetting it, that's why sometimes then you switch off certain areas. Once there's stability, then you switch them back on. But that's not what we're doing.
The company has the capacity to help, the country's economy moving, amidst the COVID-19. Remember that we're coming from a very terrible, COVID situation in which a lot of people lost their businesses.
Correct.
And now at least we can boast around to say the numbers at least we're recording from the Minister of Health in terms of COVID.
0
at least,
cases,
promising.
It's a blessing from God, and we are truly grateful
Citizens,
to God.
they have now to boost their businesses.
Yes.
But again, on the other hand, you find ZESCO as well promising what they call black start. How are you managing?
We've never promised, innocent, don't mislead people.
Yeah.
We've never promised a black start. A black start is like an accident. A black start is a reset of a system when it collapses.
Yeah.
Right? And you're protecting the system. So you switch off everything in order to restart the system.
Right.
So a black start, you can't promise people. No, because it's a rare occurrence. So you can't promise people something that is never planned. Even what happened on Saturday was never planned. You can't even inform people about it.
Let me go
Because
with
you are protecting the system from collapse. So immediately it occurs, then you can inform people that this is what has happened.
Right.
But you can't promise people in advance something that you don't know.
Right. Let me go with your words.
Yes, sir.
Load management.
Yes, sir.
That's the term you love the most. You know, how are you managing the anxieties, you know, of the people of Zambia that wants to do their businesses, but again, you know, you can't provide power to them?
No, again, don't speak in generalities, Innocent. Let's just be sincere.
I don't want to speak maybe only for the people of Lusaka,
no, it's not
Mandevu
Lusaka.
Garden, but
We can go to Mansa.
I'll give you general questions.
Let's talk
then
to
you specify them
no. Let's talk to people in Livingstone today.
Right.
Avani. You can pick a phone today and call them. Do they have power? And if they had power in the last months, Avani is not a ghost. They are there. They are running a business. Call them and ask them if they had consistent power.
Right.
We have mines in this country. FQM, KCM, right, Ambishi? Let's talk to them. Ask them. Small businesses here in Kalingalinga, where our friends are, when Lunyam. We can go to Ndola. We can go to Choma. We can go to Chipata in Eastern Province. People experienced in the last 3 weeks, yes, instability, and I've explained why in the last 3 weeks. And we've been in touch with all of them. We are powering in order to inject life into the economy of the country, right? Can we do better? Yes. I'll tell you where our weaknesses are. It's not about the issue that you are talking about in terms of our capacity to deliver. Let me answer this question that people are always commenting on. They are saying the government should start giving licenses to private companies to generate power. The market is free. Anyone can get a license today. The market has been open. Anyone who is willing to start a company in electricity, the market is open. We have companies already like Mamba, we have CEC, we have Lunsemfa Hydro, and we have Northwestern Power. So anyone, Piri, Innocent Piri and company, can start generating, transmitting, and distributing power. Today, Mr. Piri, you can start a company, generate your power, find a customer in Ndola, and ZESCO can transport that electricity for you, will charge you transport. You can find your own customer, will transport that power for you to your preferred customer. So the market is open. But the question is, why are people not willing to start business in electricity? That's a question everyone should be asking themselves. The president made it very clear. He would like to attract private sector investment. The minister said the same. They would like to promote private sector investment in electricity. But why are companies not coming in? Why are many people, businessmen and women, not coming in to start companies? Why? Everyone who has started a company in electricity generating wants to sell to ZESCO. Why, Mr. Piri? The market is open. It's like Kusoweto. If you hear that there is money in tomatoes, many people rush to producing tomatoes. If we say you make money in rearing chickens, many people start rearing chickens even in the backyard, munyumba. But electricity, people have been told, it's open. China opena. Segulani makampani mwambogulisa malaiti kubantu. Kulibe amena bwera mo mabwana.
Do you think there's too much pressure on your side that really you are also advocating to, have your competitors?
No, they are there. We already have competitors.
Yeah.
We have Mamba,
yes,
but they don't want to sell to you as a household customer. Why? There is Lunsemfa there, 56 megawatts that they produce. Why are they not selling to the customers, the households in Kabwe? Because they are free to do that. My brother, ask them, they are there. These companies are there. They are free to sell to anybody. It's not like ZESCO. I mean, there are no other companies that produce power. They are there, remember? There's Runsenfa, there's CEC, and all those.
And remember, you've
They-
also been accused that
they-
you are exporting power at the
It's
expense
not
of your local
it's
people.
not an accusation.
You know.
We trade. We even import power for people in Eastern Province. As we speak, Mr. You are from Eastern Province.
Sure.
We import power for you in Eastern Province from Malawi. And the reason we import for you is because we are working on the transmission lines. So the transmission line now from Serenje, Lusiwasi, Upper, 15 megawatts, is the one that will be transmitting through the Pensulo Musolo line to Eastern Province. Then we'll be giving you, because you'll be connected to the national grid. For the first time, we are transmitting power to Rufunsa and Ruangwa, 150 kilometers at $81 million. So when you say these things, it's not because you want to paint the company good. All I'm telling you is I'm being sincere.
And the aspect of
You can ask.
exporting power.
I'll come to
exporting
it.
power.
I'll answer you, because it's not an accusation. It shouldn't even be seen as an accusation. When there is excess power, that power should be traded, because you can't store it. Zambians don't use power a lot between 8 in the morning and 12 hours, and between 14 and 17:30. The curve, I mean, the line is flat. It only spikes at lunchtime and in the evening at peak period. During the other time, there is power to be traded on the Southern African power pool. And there is nothing wrong with that. It's not even a secret. But when we have a deficit, the numbers are there. Anyone can come and investigate. We are not trading that power.
And at the moment,
No.
are you exporting power?
We are trading on SAP when there is excess. That's a fact.
Yes, when
So,
there is excess.
when there
Are
is
you
excess, yes.
exporting
Ye-
power at the moment where we are.
Yes, and that's what I've said. You're
But if
asking
you
me.
talk about excessiveness in terms of power, I mean, some homes have got no electricity.
No, but why do they?
How would you
no,
export power?
No, some
when
homes.
some homes, as we speak right now, have been load shedded.
No, there's no load shedding in terms of lack of capacity, Innocent, and we have to understand each other. The reason some people do not have power now is because we are working on a transmission line that takes power to their home. Right? That's the reason they don't have power. If there is a cable fault in an area, the reason those homes do not have power is because of the cable fault. It's not because you don't have capacity. The power is there. It's available. You know, the peak demand,
what
my
is
brother.
capability, Doc? What is
Innocent.
How do you define
Innocent.
capability?
Let me give you
What I'm saying here, if, for example, if at my home I don't have power.
Because
as I'm
your
talking
line is
now,
cut.
Because the line
Is cut.
is cut.
Is that a
And
problem?
The collapse needs your attention to come and fix that.
Yes, and they're fixing
So
it.
why should you punish me maybe in the next 2 days or 3 days, then you continue exporting power, feeding the outsiders?
No, I think you're mixing two issues, Mr.
Please,
Innocent.
correct
Mr.
it.
Innocent, here's the situation. You don't have power at your home because your cable is broken
Yeah.
or your cable was stolen. There is no connection to capacity. The reason you don't have power here is because the team is now going to reconnect you, right?
Yeah.
They are going to get a new cable, and connect you. The problem that you have there is connectivity. What this country needs at peak period is 2,000, right? 410 megawatts. That's what we need at peak. So there is no deficit at that level. I'll give you another example. As we speak today, in First Street, Ibexio, they don't have power. And because the cable has failed, right? And our engineer, Sakala, and the team are working now. We're just talking to them. Your colleagues here will bear witness. That's not load shedding because of lack of capacity. No, they are working on a fault. So they are not depriving them power because that power is going elsewhere. No, they don't have power because the cable has failed. Immediately the cable is jointed, they will have connectivity. So those are the two issues that we are talking about. They're different issues. We are not exporting power at the expense of our people in any way.
Right.
No, we wouldn't be doing that. We are not that irresponsible.
You saw a protest that was held, I think, 2 days ago
Yes.
by UNZA students.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
some of the concerns that they submitted
Yes.
is to deal with the load shedding within the learning institution.
When
Knowing that
innocent,
they'll be starting the exams on Monday.
innocent,
And they've been assured that
Yeah.
that issue will be worked on.
innocent, you're an intelligent man.
Yeah.
The university is your neighbor here. Right?
Kalingalinga here.
Yeah, here. They're just here. They are just neighbors. Ask the University of Zambia, when were they ever load shed? The University of Zambia is a sensitive institution in terms of laboratories for research, right?
Yeah.
They need to have constant power, right? We have given the University of Zambia special consideration. You can ask the University of Zambia. They are your neighbors here. When were they ever load shed? Even when we discussed that they were going to work on the substation at the University of Zambia, we're not talking about the University of Zambia as a school. Is that there is a substation called University of Zambia Substation. You can ask them. It's just like the mines and other places. Ask them when they last experienced any form of load shedding. So the issues,
how do you take their concerns?
their
Based on
concerns,
the electricity?
I am not a politician.
Yeah.
I do not.
You
just
deal with electricity.
But my question
You
is,
deal with electricity. And they have accused you or your institution that they are being load shedded.
no, that's not the accusation. You follow the argument. They were saying they were going to be load shed. That's what they were saying. Because we had mentioned that we are going to work on the University of Zambia substation. So they were saying you were going to load shed us, not that they were being load shed. Those are two representations of facts.
That will never happen.
No, it's ask them if they ever load shed at the University of Zambia. The University of Zambia has been exempt more often. Yes, they may have experienced faults at one point or the other, but power is usually restored. They are not load shed. So it's a misrepresentation of facts. We spoke to the students' leadership. Hezo Zulu did have a conversation with them. We were not a subject matter, they say.
Right.
So even the insinuation of the impending load management, which we are doing now, you can check your neighbors. I mean, they still have power. Even in the morning, they didn't lose power at all. It's like hospitals and water points normally are given special treatment.
Special treatments. Again, we've got places like the mines, we've got industries that depends on electricity for them to operate.
Yes.
You know, how do you hope to, help these institutions, really?
Innocent.
I know that, of course, the mines, you've been so reluctant in terms of load shedding them, but the issue is, why this kind of selection? You've just described Uwanza as a very sensitive place that needs electricity throughout.
Would you cut power from UTH? Yourself, Mr. Piri? Would you cut power from Levi Manasseh Hospital?
We've had cases.
No, the question.
There's load shedding at UTH. We have seen that.
My brother, it's outages.
As well as other clinics.
No, not shedding. You have your facts. You need to counter check your facts. Ask UTH management. Ask Levi Manasseh management. It's not correct that we deliberately go and switch off those institutions. There is even redundancy for those institutions. It's the same with the nerve center. We don't go and
You mean you've never received reports where maybe UTH calls you, or maybe
We've received
a hospital call you that there's a problem here which has been going on for the last maybe 3-4 days?
No, they've called us when there was a blackout.
We've heard stories of such kind.
No. Give me the stories. I'll come back to you. I've heard stories that they've had no water for extended. Not electricity.
Of course.
Not electricity.
Water coupled with electricity issues.
No, not UTH with electricity, my brother. They've experienced some outages at some point. Yes, they would have experienced outages, and immediately, normally, unless it's a bigger crisis, but they've been restored. When we had the blackout, the second one, yes, and they called in, but they were restored within 1 hour, 30 minutes of power. And they had the backup systems. So, no, my brother, I totally and categorically disagree with you on that one.
There's a concern actually coming from Chazanga that it's something to do with the transformer as well.
Chazanga has had a problem, yes. And I've come here on Movie TV.
Yeah.
I've been on Phoenix. I've been on various platforms. I've explained. And you know, my principle is tell people the truth, even if it's painful. We must face them and tell them the truth. You asked me a question, why do you want to face people when it's painful? I said, I'll tell people the truth because they need to know the truth. Chazanga, Kabanana, Chaisa, East Matero, right, or Matero East. You remember that about 5 months ago, the substation in Matero got burnt. Completely burnt to ashes. It was rebuilt. We've worked on the civil works, completed them. All the other electrical elements were fitted in, but we were remaining with the control panel, specialized, sophisticated control panel, which was ordered. And I'm told it's now in, and they need to fit it in. So those people were being supplied with power from alternative sources. But sometimes those areas, because they're big and they're many and the demand is high, the capacity of the alternative supply was not sufficient. So at some point they would be switched, especially in the evenings. So the complaint from Chazanga and Kabanana is real, that they would deliberately take them out in the evenings because of that particular problem of the overload resulting from the alternative supply. So when there are people in Matero East, people in Kabangwe, and the people in SOS East are complaining, they are right. And I acknowledge that, yes, it's true. And then I tell them the reason why it's happening. And the control panel is in now. And they should be able to once fitted, that problem should completely go. But it's a fact. So you can't lie to people that you don't have a problem in that area. That would be irresponsible. The problem is there, but the question is, why do they have a problem? And what are we doing about it as ZESCO Limited? And this is what I've told you. Chishimba, our RM, has been working on it. There are times when we've reported, our call center has been a challenge. You know that receiving calls and answering calls has been a problem. What have we tried to do is to innovate. Our engineers have developed USSD code where you do *3600# to report a fault and do many other things. You can download the mobile app from Apple Store or Google Play. We've given you even the WhatsApp. We've created a WhatsApp for reporting to make it easy, because when the lines are congested at the call center, you have an alternative. We should be resolving cases within 48 hours, but yes, sometimes we've made mistakes. We've gone beyond 48 hours. Those mistakes, I know. And I can tell you that there are people who owe us money. You know that, right?
Yeah. I was actually about to ask you that question.
They owe us money. And people
there
don't.
There's been issues also to do with, audit queries,
Yes,
ZESCO,
yes.
all those issues.
Let's talk about them.
Yeah, let's hear from you. Is ZESCO owing money to?
Yes, to lenders.
Ah.
Yes. So I'll give you examples.
What
Number
would be-
one, we owe, for example, we don't borrow money for consumption,
Right.
right? No one borrows that money, and that money doesn't come to us and sits in the account. That money is dispersed by the lender to the contractor. So it's not ZESCO that pays the contractor. So I'll give you an example. Kafue Gorge Lower is estimated at 2.3 billion.
Right.
It's there. The costing is there. It's an actual project, and 2 machines are running. We are remaining with 3. One will be running end of this month. The next one, hopefully, December. Then we'll remain with 1 that should run in March. 2.3 billion is one of the dates that we have. And it is going to pay itself off. So when the 2 machines start running, the power that you are selling, then you start paying off that particular loan. That's the Nkongole we're talking about. That's the loan we're talking about. Are we okay with that one? The other people that we owe money include independent power producers, like Mamba Collieries. We owe them money. Right? Why do we owe them money? Because they sell power to us at 12.8 cents or 0.12 or $1.3, and we sell that same electricity to you, Mr. Piri, at 3 cents. So we reduce the price for you. That's what they call the subsidy. We buy power at 12.8 cents. We sell it to you as a customer at 3 cents. Fine. So titiola mtengo for you. Twakontola. The difference between the purchase price and the selling price is sitting on our books as your Nkongole. So the Nkongole that we have is Nkongole on your behalf, Mr. Piri. It sits on our books as ZESCO Limited. It's the same with the debt that we owe people like Lunsenfwa.
Right.
We are okay on that one. So the only solution to that issue is to make sure that the price at which you are buying or you are producing your product should be equal to the price that you are selling it for. But in the current arrangement, what we are buying and producing the power for is not equal to what we are selling. We are reducing. And that's where we have a gap. That's a problem. That needs to change. Are we okay on that one? I'll give you another example of people now who owe us money.
Yeah.
KCM owes us money in excess of 173 million US dollars. FQM owes us money. Chambeshi owes us money. We are owed money by water utility companies and government agencies. You've seen this in the audit reports.
Sure.
Right? We need to find a way to get this money so that we can use it to create efficiencies, connect people quickly, and enhance the infrastructure.
Right.
So yes, we should condemn ZESCO when they're not doing well, but also we should look at the other side of what needs to be done better. We shouldn't be producing power at a higher cost and selling it at a reduced price. At the same time, those who owe us money, including whether it's health services institutions, water utility companies, and other agencies, they must also honor and pay us. Some of them, yes, we can't cut power off. We can't switch them off to demand the payment, but we must enter into a system that works so that that revenue is also coming into the institution.
And that
So that is where we are. And all this information is in the Auditor General's report. These are not figures that I'm making up. Anyone can simply download the Auditor General's report on parastatals. The information is there.
There's several allegations that your company is one of those, careless institutions when it comes to, managing its affairs.
Define careless. Give me an example.
Of fines, as well as
give me an example.
Employing ghost workers.
Give me
putting people on a pay who are not eligible to work within ZESCO. You've heard these claims.
I've heard them. Before. I have heard them.
Do you have people that are not capable but are employing or are getting paid from ZESCO?
What do you mean by people who are not capable?
Let's say in the name of, for example, unqualified cadres from the previous regime that are within the system under ZESCO. I want you to clarify that issue.
So
it's a very contentious issue.
First and foremost, we have 6,786 employees at ZESCO Limited. They sit on the database. We have a human resource management system with a digital print. It's an auditable trail. You can come to ZESCO, check everyone who is employed under ZESCO, their names and their qualifications, right? So, when you talk about a ghost worker, my understanding of a ghost worker is that somebody, for example, dies at ZESCO, but is not removed from the payroll because someone else is benefiting financially from that, the presence of that person on the register. We don't have that. So you'd also have a case where somebody probably retired, but a ghost worker would mean that that person is not removed from the payroll, and someone somewhere is receiving that money of that person who has retired. That would be a ghost worker. Do we have lazy people? Lazy people, yes. And we fire people as well. Right?
Of course, lazy
just
people
like
everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
So if you are calling a person who is lazy as a ghost worker, again, that is mislabeling individuals. Because laziness is laziness. It's not being a ghost.
Yeah.
Right? So 6,786 employees are at ZESCO Limited. We also have casuals, right, that are employed for specific assignments. So, for example, we are digging a trench from one area to another on a project. People may be brought in for that specific assignment. Once that assignment is finished, they are let go. Right? So these are our brothers and sisters. So the people working at ZESCO are your brothers and sisters.
Nothing
now,
to do with
I hear,
cannabism,
no,
you know.
I'll clarify, my
Yeah,
brother.
please.
I hear this story where people are talking about, oh, there is a wife of such and such a person who works at ZESCO. Because the husband is a prominent person, therefore that woman shouldn't be working at ZESCO. Or there is a son of somebody who is prominent, who is working at ZESCO, and people feel that that person shouldn't be working for ZESCO. The correct position is that any person who is qualified, if you are a mechanical engineer, whether your father is a politician, whether your father is a musician, whether you are a wife of a prominent person, you are not discriminated against. And no one in the interview is going to ask you, oh, who is your husband? Which church do you go to? No.
And I was very careful in my
we don't do that.
in my question. I said
No.
unqualified or incapable individuals, suspected political cadres from the previous regime.
That's what I'm telling you. That
Yeah.
when you are employing a person, you are employing them for a specific skill.
Right.
I was employed for corporate affairs, right?
Yeah.
Corporate affairs. That's why I was employed. I'm responding this because I hear people
Yeah,
calling
yeah,
me names and all that sometimes. Before I worked for the Millennium Challenge, I was working for the American Embassy. I was working for the Department of State.
Sure.
I was in charge there of the public affairs of the emergency plan for AIDS relief, which was in excess of $500 million a year, right?
Yeah.
I was in charge with PISCO, Centers for Disease Control, and others. Then I was employed for the Millennium Challenge to implement a $355 million project. From there, I was employed to manage corporate affairs at ZESCO Limited. I have a trail. So I was employed based on the qualifications. What you are telling me is that someone just wakes up and takes someone who has no qualifications at all and gives them a job of an engineer.
Or, for example,
To
they
work
tell
in the
you
power station.
maybe this minister or this politician comes to say this person, you know, is a mobilization chair in our branch, maybe in Kanyama.
And he's
or
not an engineer.
And then they tell you, yes, he's not.
And you put him in the
they
power
just tell
plant
you,
to run
here are
the
the
power
names.
plant.
Start paying these people.
No, my brother.
There's nothing like that.
The register, the payment register is digital. The footprint is there. We are audited not just by the Auditor General's office. We are also audited by international auditors. And we also have our internal audit team.
Right.
So all these audits are there. The record is there. Let me say this, my brother. I tell people, my brothers and sisters on social media, don't comment negatively on somebody you don't know. If you've never met the person, you have no background information on a person, and just because someone peddles a rumor, don't comment on them if you don't know them. It's my principle in life. I don't talk about people I don't know. I'm only going to comment on a fact. I'm not going to comment based on slander, innuendo, and rumors. Always make an intelligent comment based on full knowledge, not based on rumors. I see people commenting on people they don't know, they've never met, and they've never even read about those people. But they say a lot of things about individuals like that. Some people who comment about ZESCO engineers, and you wonder whether they know, they have background information about these individuals, and they comment based on rumors and innuendo. Don't do that. Comment when you have facts. Otherwise, we are a Christian nation. We are not, I think, we shouldn't be commenting and slandering people just for the sake of excitement. That's my principle.
In 2 minutes' time, Doc, we
Yes,
have
my
to
brother.
close the program.
Not a
but,
problem.
I'll
Thank
ask
you.
a question.
Please do.
do you have a working plan as ZESCO, which will translate maybe in the next a few months from now?
Yes.
And people having constant power.
Yes.
You know, and avoid excuses or
Yes.
or sentiments such as the load management, issues to do with water levels and the likes. You know, because remember, we've got all the rivers in this country.
Correct.
We've got enough water you can talk
And
about.
we have sun for solar.
You know.
And we have wind for wind.
Exactly.
Energy. Yes.
You know, and compared to other countries, you can talk about maybe Israel, which I know people have got power 24/7. You know, they're not going through this challenge that Zambians are facing today.
How much are they generating?
Do you have
what are they
a
using
working
to,
plan?
And what are they
that
using to generate?
will liberate
how
Zambians
much?
from this problem?
Yes. So, for example, first and foremost, thank you very much. The improvements in the supply, in the electricity supply industry is not just about ZESCO.
Right.
It's about any player and every player, right? Do we have a plan? Yes. And we know where we need to be, okay? Yeah. The investments like the KGL is a major investment.
Right.
And once all the machines are in, definitely we are looking at additional power for the country. We have looked at the Luapula hydropower station, another major investment. We're also talking about the Batoka hydropower station, right? So in terms of investments in infrastructure, I think we are on the right track. We should continue, and that's the way to go, because we have to meet the needs today without sacrificing the needs of the future.
Right.
If you know your history very well, the last investments, major investments, before what was being done in the last, say, 8 and 10 years or so, was in 1977. That was the last investment. No injection of major infrastructure development, you know, before then. So what we are doing in terms of capacity for generation is important. We also need to continue upgrading the transmission infrastructure and distribution infrastructure for the country. We need to do that, and we need to continue. We are happy that Northwestern Province is connected to the national grid, right? We are together on that. So we can continue to develop, and we can do better.
Right.
Where we are not doing well, especially on our response rate and connections, new connections, that's there we have a weakness. And I've acknowledged we have a challenge with new connections. We have a backlog, and we know why that is a problem. Right. We are proposing a mechanism to ERB, right? Because they are our regulator. We don't just wake up and make unilateral decisions as ZESCO Limited. Yeah. We can't touch the tariff. We can't touch the capital contributions because we are guided by the regulator. Right. What would we like to see? We would like to see a situation where the regulator is going to allow us to engage, even with a private sector player or anybody, to ensure that those connections are paid for fully by the customer, and the customer receives immediate service. Because currently, that is a weakness that we have. So yes, can we do better? Yes, we can do better, and we're hoping that we'll continue doing better. Thank you.
Doc, thank you so much for your courage to speak to the people of Zambia.
Thank you very much, Innocent. I truly appreciate the time. We'll continue telling people the truth, even if it's painful sometimes.
Thank you so much. All right, so we end our discussion here. I've been talking to Dr. John Kunda, who happens to be the Senior Corporate Affairs Manager at ZESCO Limited, answering to some of the questions that have been sending to us from the time we advertised the program. Thank you so much to you, the people of Zambia. Like I always say, may God bless Zambia, may God bless Mother Africa. Good night.